X-Men 97, Season 2, yes, Episode 1. Days of Past Future, which obviously is a retelling of Days of Future Past, which is one of the most popular X-Men storylines of all time. But I just gotta say that I love the way they recapped the previous season, the first season, and we see at the end that when they're aboard Asteroid M, that's when everything kind of goes to, can't say goes to hell, because half the people go to the past, and the other half go to the future, so. All right, but either way, both different portions of the X-Men are facing apocalypse. So obviously this was structured. This wasn't something, a random phenomenon, but someone actually did this. Nevertheless, this is the recap with no cap, John Vatt, The Great Expanse, that is, on YouTube. And I had a lot of hopes going into this season, going into these first 3 episodes. You know, they gave us 3 at the beginning. And I just don't have enough good things to say about this first episode. We see that it takes place in the future. I think it was 3960 or 3690. I think it's 3960. All right, so we are in the far-flung future. You know what I mean? We're in the 30-something century. And we see that Scott and Jean are getting to know Nathan. Okay, now he's not the son of Jean Grey. He's the son of Madeline Pryor, who was a clone of Jean Grey. And we also see Storm and Forge, okay? Because Forge teleports to the future from the present. Bishop teleports to the past from the present. So of course we know that Storm and Forge had that episode where they faced the adversary, who was more of a psychic entity, I believe. And Storm had to overcome this mental adversary so that she could regain her mutant powers, which were seemingly dampened from the Executioner. Okay, that's when they were in the UN. She jumped in front of Magneto, and that power dampening beam, or whatever it was, the Executioner had, robbed her of her abilities. So she left, and she wound up in, I think, like in the Midwest or the Southwest. But either way, we see them sort of come back together here in the future. All right, and Forge has the time bands. Now, if you know the first season, no, not the first season, but the first series of X-Men, the animated series, that's how he and Bishop were moving backwards and forward through time. Primarily Bishop. Forge stayed place. I mean, he stayed put. So this one we see that it's allegedly the height of Apocalypse's power. This is the one issue I do have with the episode. This is allegedly the height of Apocalypse's power, and Apocalypse isn't even in a physical form. He has this sort of like machine, it's like a regenerative machine, and he requires a physical body so that his physical body can regenerate as well. So he's like talking to Ozymandias, you know, the stone figure. I'm assuming this season we'll learn who Ozymandias is. I already know what it is because I've already read Ozymandias from 30 years ago in X-Men comics. So hopefully his origins will sort of be laid out before you. So he's saying that Nathan Dayspring Summers is the ideal host body for Apocalypse. All right, so Apocalypse is like, go get him, you know what I mean? Because he has this sort of weird voice, this modulated voice. And the Horsemen are sent to obtain young Nathan. Now, along the way, Mother Ascani reveals that she's the one that snatched the X-Men into the future and into the past. So that means she's extremely powerful. I had no idea she had these kind of abilities. Because from the comics, it was just Clan Ascani. You know what I mean? One of them was sent into the past to take the techno-organic infected Nathan, who was infected by Apocalypse, not Mr. Sinister, but Apocalypse in the comics. So it would have made more sense if it was Apocalypse in the first season as well. You understand what I'm saying? Because it would come full circle. But they went with Mr. Sinister. Okay, so we see that Nathan is wrestling with the techno-organic virus, and Scott and Jean, who haven't revealed that they're his parents yet, Jean's sort of his surrogate mother or whatever, that they are who they are. You know what I mean? So we see that Jean, and this is one of the better parts of the episode, Jean is showing young Nathan how to use his telekinesis. And she's saying to use the techno-organic virus, use his telekinesis to keep the virus at bay so that he's not overcome by it. And so she's also saying, now he has this dampening collar around his neck. So she's saying use your telekinesis to use the techno-organic virus to short circuit the dampening collars that are dampening their powers, all right? So again, let's go back to Mother Ascani. So Mother Ascani says that this train or this vehicle, whatever, is necessary to invade Apocalypse's fortress, which was, I think was displaced in time, was impenetrable, okay? So she said that they need power. So Mother Ascani goes to Storm and says, yes, we need a powerful being to power this train. And she says, Storm, it's you. And Storm's like, what? I can only control the element. And Mother Ascani says that you have the ability to use solar winds, basically a solar flare, which are carried in space on solar winds, to bring it to Earth. So Storm is OP. Storm is OP in this episode. She concentrates, she meditates, and uses her power to bring a solar flare by a solar wind to power this train. So now they have what it takes to penetrate Apocalypse's defenses. In the meantime, the 4 horsemen are sent to obtain young Nathan Summers. In my mind, I keep going Nathan Drake, but I have to mentally go, no, it's not Nathan Drake. It's Nathan Summers, the young Cable. All right. And so they're fighting one of the, I want to say, least popular incarnations of the 4 horsemen. There's like this Black Dahlia or Geisha, whatever she is. This is Minotaur. There's this like magician who looks stupid to me. And my favorite horseman is this drummer who's War. And all he does is drum, and these like powerful like pulses come. I just like the simplicity of that character. That's the only horseman I thought was cool. So they defeat the horsemen. Storm, Forge, Cyclops, Jean Grey, and young Nathan. I don't remember if Mother Ascani had anything to do with that defeat, but they defeat the 4 horsemen. And of course, according to plan, they break through Apocalypse's fortress's defenses, and Apocalypse flees. So my issue is, if this is the height of Apocalypse's power, why was it so easy to defeat him in the future? That was the only issue I had. Like they beat him that fast, and he fled to the past. And he even says, we have to strike at the X-Men where they're most vulnerable, the 1990s. He sounded more like he was advertising the show. You know what I mean? So again, that's not a negative on the show, but it kind of had me going, you could have done without that. You know what I mean? You could have just said the past. You know what I mean? Or just showed the future. Showed the past in the 1990s rather than narrating for the viewing audience. I'm going to go to the 1990s, and do all that. But I love the animation. I love the sequence between Scott and Jean trying to teach Nathan not to be fearful, to use his telekinesis, to tell him that he has purpose, he has a destiny. Mother Ascani is saying the same thing, you know what I mean? So there's the issue of, do you reveal who you are? Because Scott and Jean don't want to leave. You know what I mean? Like they want to stay there and sort of raise Nathan or whatever. So they're balking against going with Forge's plan of not polluting the time stream. But no, they're like, no, this is our son. We want to stay here. And there's also Feral Wolverine. Okay? Feral Wolverine and Morph, who are also in the future. So we don't get anything about how Wolverine came to be, because they've been there for months, allegedly. Scott said we've been here for months, training Nathan. So I hope in a later episode, we get a Wolverine-centric episode that explains what happens after Magneto ripped the adamantium out of his body, why he looks like that, and how he has the bone claws, which were breaking off. But he heals, so they can re-heal. So overall, I'm gonna give this first episode because the animation, I love the colors, I loved everything. It just popped on screen. It was very delightful and pleasing to the eye, to the visual cortex, you know what I mean? So I'm going to give this one a B+. Days of Past Future. My only issue is the fact that they defeated Apocalypse at his height. 6 X-Men did this. They defeated Apocalypse's forces at the height of his power. No way on earth it should have just happened in one episode. But B+, great story. Of course, Storm summoning her powers to bring a solar wind that would bring a solar flare to power this train or whatever. So a lot of good character moments for Storm, for Nathan, for Scott and Jean. Nothing really for Wolverine, nothing really for Apocalypse, who's going to be the big bad for this season. But definitely B+. Great episode. Can't wait to watch episode 2 and episode 3. And then this entire series. I hope it plays out the way I pray it will, which was awesome, which is top tier. All right. And this is The Great Expanse by John Bat 426. This is the recap with no cap. John Bat. I'll holler at y'all soon.